Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to put on our teacher hats for a student that's, well, a little different. We're going to build the entire curriculum for an artificial intelligence, right from its very first lesson all the way to the final exam. So, let's get into it.
So let's just start with a big question, shall we? If you had a brand new thinking machine sitting right in front of you, what is the absolute first thing you would teach it? I mean, would it be how to say hello? Or maybe something more practical, like telling a cat apart from a dog? This question is really at the heart of everything we're doing today as we build our AI's education from the ground up.
You know, before any teacher walks into a classroom, they have to know the end goal. And for our AI student, the goal is pretty ambitious. We want it to simulate human intelligence. This isn't just about teaching it to crunch numbers. No, we're teaching it to learn and to solve problems. You know, like a person. That's the real graduation prize right there.
Okay, every student has to start with the basics, so welcome to AI 101. This is the foundational course where our machine is going to learn how to learn.
So, what does every student need on the first day of school? This slide pretty much breaks down the two most essential supplies. First up, you've got data. Just think of data as the textbooks. The more high-quality, diverse books our AI gets to read, the smarter it's going to get. But then, you've got algorithms. And those are basically the step-by-step instructions from the teacher. The algorithm tells the AI how to study all that data, how to spot patterns, make connections, and ultimately make decisions. You really can't have one without the other. So, how do we, as teachers, actually teach it? Well, we've got a few different teaching styles. With supervised learning, it's like we give our AI the textbook and the answer key. We show it a million pictures of cats, all neatly labeled cat. Then there's unsupervised learning. Here, we just dump all the pictures on its desk with no labels and say, all right, figure it out, find the patterns yourself. And finally, you've got reinforcement learning, which is basically a game of you're getting warmer. The AI tries something and we give it a reward for a good job or a little penalty to say try again until it figures out the right answer.
All right, so our student knows how to learn. That's a huge step. But before we let it out into the world, it has to pass its most important test yet. Yep, it's time for the AI ethics exam.
And look, this is where things get really serious. This isn't just a technical problem, it is a moral one. We are building something incredibly powerful. So as its teachers, we absolutely have a responsibility to teach it right from wrong. So how in the world do we make sure our brilliant student actually becomes a force for good?
Well, to teach ethics, we can actually build its moral compass using some classic philosophies. So what's the lesson plan? Do we teach it utilitarianism, where it always tries to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people? Or maybe deontology, where some rules like, say, protecting user privacy are unbreakable, no matter what? Or do we try virtue ethics, where we attempt to bake values like fairness and honesty right into its core programming? The choice we make here has massive consequences.
And trust me, these aren't just hypotheticals. These are the real-world, tough questions on the final ethics exam. Take algorithmic bias, for example. If we give our AI textbooks filled with hiring data from the past 50 years, it might just learn to favor male candidates. Not because it's evil, but because that's the pattern it was taught from the data we gave it. Getting this lesson wrong is a really big deal.
Okay, ethics class is done. Our student has its textbooks and moral compass. Now it's time for the really cool part. We're going to give it senses. This next module is all about teaching our AI to see and hear the world around it.
The first sense we're going to teach is sight, and we do that with a subject called computer vision. This is basically how we train a machine to look at a picture or a video and actually understand what it's seeing, not just register a bunch of pixels.
And this is a perfect real-world lesson plan. Let's say we want to teach our AI to control a robot using hand signals. First, step 1, we give it its study material. Hundreds, maybe thousands of pictures of a hand making a stop sign or pointing left. Then, during training, it just studies and studies until it connects the visual pattern to the right command. And finally, the test. It sees a hand in real time, recognizes the gesture, and tells the robot what to do. Just like that, it's learned to see and to act.
But seeing is only half the story, right? To really get a feel for the world, our AI student also has to learn how to listen.
And the teaching process here is actually pretty similar. To teach it to recognize music, we have it listen to tons of audio clips with music. But, and this is just as important, we also make it listen to clips with no music, just silence or background noise. Because you can't really know what something is until you also know what it isn't. By studying both, it learns to tell the difference. It's learning to listen with purpose.
All right, it's time for the Advanced Placement course. Our AI has the basics down, it's got a moral framework, it has senses. Now we're going to teach it how to use all that knowledge to make a really good guess about what might happen next.
This smart irrigation system is basically our AI's final capstone project. First, it gathers its data, its textbooks, from things like soil sensors and weather forecasts. It cleans all that up, and then its algorithm, those instructions we gave it, analyzes everything to predict exactly when a plant will need water. But here's the best part. It then evaluates its own homework. Did I get that prediction right? This kind of self-correction is exactly how our student keeps getting smarter and smarter all on its own. And just like that, we've guided our AI student through its entire education. So now it's time for a quick recap. Think of it as the final exam that shows us everything we've learned about how to teach a machine.
So here it is, our AI's final report card. It totally aced machine learning, mastering all the different ways to study. It passed computer vision and audio recognition with flying colors, giving it senses to perceive the world. It excelled at predictive AI and robotics, learning to apply its knowledge in practical ways. But maybe most importantly, it grappled with ethics, the one subject that truly defines its relationship with all of us.
And that kind of brings us to our final thought. We are getting incredibly good at teaching these machines to learn, to see, to predict. Our students are becoming more and more capable every single day. So the really big question for us, the teachers, is no longer can we teach them? It's now that they're learning, what are the right questions we should be asking them to help us solve? Thanks for coming to class today.